this one is a sequel to what we did the last time. I assume that the contents of this particular episode will be a part of the last one, but we just went so in depth with what I would like to believe is pre-independence Pakistan history that we couldn't cover post-independence Pakistan history. So this is the story of Pakistan from the Indian perspective, but by someone who's dedicated his whole life to studying about Pakistan and his whole life to writing about Pakistan from an objective perspective. Let's begin by talking about Jinnah's life post-independence. Is that a right place to begin?
Yeah. He didn't live very long, after again, Pakistan was created. It didn't become independent because there was no Pakistan beforehand. So he was actually suffering from consumption, and one doctor in Bombay had diagnosed him. And the British came to know.
TB, right?
Yeah. So it is suspected that one of the reasons why the British advanced leaving India, it was earlier supposed to be 1948, but they advanced it to August 47 because they didn't think Jinnah would survive that long. And they knew it. And this doctor hadn't told anybody. He, kept to his professional duties. So, and Jinnah had a very unfortunate death. He was recuperating in Ziyarat, which is a place in Balochistan. Good climate so people used to go and meet him over there. And on one occasion, when he met Liaquat Ali, who was the Prime Minister, and Liaquat Ali came out, he says, now he realizes his mistake. Because Jinnah told him that creating Pakistan was one of the biggest mistakes in my life. And this is documented. Now he realizes his mistake. And when he was coming back from Ziyarat to Karachi, there was nobody to receive him at Karachi airport. And there was a broken down ambulance which broke down. And that broke down halfway to the road from the airport to the Governor General's residence. And his ADC took 2 hours to find another ambulance. And for 2 hours, Jinnah was in this hot and humid ambulance, which really ruined his health even further. He was already suffering it really. And he passed away soon thereafter.
What?
Yes. And then he was a Shia. But his public funeral was as a Sunni. And he was given a Shia burial, Shia rites privately. He couldn't even find in death his the right kind of...
Why do you think he felt like it was a mistake creating Pakistan?
He didn't expect the kind of violence and killing that took place. Again, he totally misjudged it.
You mean Hindu-Muslim violence?
Yeah. You see, when he created a state on the basis of Hindus and Muslims, how did he expect that he wanted the Hindus and Sikhs to stay on in Pakistan as a guarantee against the safety of Muslims in India. But once you have a partition on the basis of communal division, there was no way that the Hindus and Sikhs were going to stay on. And the unfortunate part of partition was that the Ratcliffe Award was not announced before 15th of August. On 15th of August, people in Lahore was a Hindu majority town. People did not know whether Lahore would be in India or in Pakistan. I think it was announced the 17th or 18th. It is then they realized we are on the wrong side of the border. And then they started moving out, and then the mass killings took place. Killings had started in March, in Rawalpindi especially. I know there was build-up of the thing. But after the Ratcliffe Award division, and especially in the case of Lahore, all hell broke loose. I think Jinnah realized he didn't expect that this would happen. So that's why he called a moth-eaten Pakistan, that if all the Hindus are going to leave and Sikhs are going to leave, what remains of Pakistan?
What happened to like the property owned by the Sikhs and the Hindus? What happened to...
It became evacuee property. It was Kabza Karod.
By the army?
No. By Punjabis.
Oh.
Like in the case of India, this became evacuee property. So when people from Pakistan came to India, or when people from India went to Pakistan, they registered themselves and said, this was my property, this is the proof to the extent they could provide. And a similar property was allotted to them from the evacuee property of people who had left.
Ooh, okay. Like a trade.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people who came to Pakistan, they got properties in Punjab and other places. The interesting thing about the Muslims who came from India, that about 1 million, about 18% or so, settled in Karachi and Hyderabad, the urban areas from all over India. And they subsequently, because they were in such large numbers in an urban environment, they subsequently started being called or were called Muhajirs. And they set up an ethnic identity of their own. They didn't learn Sindhi. Initially, they were the ruling class, like Jinnah and Liaquat Ali, they were also came from India. So they did very well. When Bhutto came, he started promoting the Sindhis. Then the sense of alienation which their forefathers had felt in British India, when I talked about in the last episode, the alienation among the Muslim elite of losing power and patronage, they started feeling the same. And so they started calling themselves Muhajirs. And 1986, they set up the Muhajir Qawmi movement. 1986.
Okay.
40 years after partition.
Let me just kind of do a small recap of what I've understood from what you said. So there were Muslims from all over India, be it even Kerala maybe, be it Bengal, be it Delhi, Lucknow, who were the Muslim elite. They decided, okay, let's be a part of Pakistan. They go there, they go to these two big cities.
Bulk of them settled in Punjab. The Punjabis especially settled in Punjab.
Okay.
But 1 million, about 18% of the total refugees who came, settled in the urban areas of Karachi and Hyderabad.
And they were from all over India.
They were from all over India.
Okay. And they became a separate ethnic group.
Yeah. Because they were in such large numbers that they didn't have to adopt to the local Sindhi language or Sindhi customs.
Okay. Cool.
And they were Urdu speaking. Urdu became the national language. Karachi became the capital. So they felt a sense of empowerment.
And they were educated.
They were educated. And they believed that Pakistan had been created by them. They had created Pakistan.
Okay.
Once Bhutto came and the Sindhis started getting their due, they got the sense of alienation. Though humne create kiya Pakistan, look at the way we are being treated.
Before I let you expand on Bhutto, I'm going to ask you about these people today. Is it do they exist as a separate ethnic class even today? What word did you use?
Yeah. Muhajir.
Muhajir.
Yeah. Muhajir is like, a person who does hijrat, who flees like the Prophet, went from one place from Makkah to Medina because called the hijrat.
Okay.
So they call themselves Muhajirs. From India they came to.
Are they still like the rich
So they're still called Muhajirs. They still call themselves Muhajirs. Others refer to them as Muhajir.
Okay.
They were very strong till about the 1990s because of one leader, Altaf Hussain, who was a firebrand, charismatic kind of a person. So then he fell foul of the army.
Okay.
He sought refuge in London. And today, the Muhajir Qawmi movement has broken up into various parties. But the Muhajir element, and they're a dominant element, that whoever side they vote for,
Okay.
So the PPP has managed to get some ground back in. The PTI did well. Earlier, when after 47, the Jamaat-e-Islami and the Jamaat Ulema Pakistan, these were the two religious parties, they used to win the elections there. Then when the MQM, Muhajir Qawmi movement, came into its own, they won all the elections from 86 onwards.
You'll have to give context on all this. So I'm going to take you back to around 1950, back to the timeline, and we can move very gradually, gently, and give context.
So till Bhutto came, after the 71 war, the Muhajirs were in their own elements.
Okay.
They were the ruling class in Pakistan. Urdu was the language. Karachi was their capital. They were in the civil services. They got a lot of land in Sindh, which had been left by Hindus. But once the Sindhis started coming into their own, when Bhutto promoted the Sindhis, when the capital got shifted to Islamabad, they started feeling edged out of power and patronage.
Can you give some context on Bhutto?
He was a Sindhi.
Okay.
And his father was a great landlord, one of the richest landlords in Sindh. And he was there. In fact, in the case of Bhutto, he claimed property in Bombay, even though he had moved to Karachi.
Okay.
There also he claimed property, and finally, after a long time, it was settled, and his property was treated as evacuee property.
Okay.
So then he became prime minister. He left. Ayub Khan became prime minister, and then he started promoting the Sindhis. In my second book, I have a fascinating chapter on Bhutto. 2 chapters on Bhutto, in fact.
What was happening between 1950 and 1971? What led up to the 71 war?
Okay, so that's a different, because East Pakistan was treated very unfairly. First was the language. they were told that their language was not Islamic enough and therefore Urdu had to be the national language. As I mentioned earlier, for Bengalis, the language is a far more salient point of their identity than religion. So they were up in arms. Then the exploitation, the Punjabi exploitation, they were not, jute was a major export, a lot of earnings, but money was not invested there. So gradually, karte till Muhajir Rahman came forward and put forward his own program. And in the 1970 elections, he won over 160 seats, out of 164, something like that. And logically, he should have been Prime Minister of Pakistan. Bhutto had won the majority of seats in West Pakistan. And he was not willing, and neither was the army willing, to let Mujibur Rahman be Prime Minister of Pakistan. So Bhutto made this famous comment when he was asked, ki udhar tum, idhar hum. Meaning that you be there and I'll be here. So he didn't allow the National Assembly session to be held in Dhaka. And that's when then Mujibur Rahman gradually moved towards declaring, there was a big crackdown in March 1970, leading to the creation of Mukti Bahini. 3 million people were butchered by the Pakistan army.